Hey VC, Austin here, and I'm entering Dylan with Noble Records, his 750 subscribers contest. Congrats, man. I see you're already over 1,000. Doesn't surprise me at all because you get some pretty great hauls that come through your pop-ups. And yeah, thanks for making these awesome videos, and keep them coming, dude, because you have turned me on to all sorts of awesome tunes. For his contest, I got to answer these 5 questions. The first of which is your first memory with vinyl. Now, I'm a 90s kid, so CDs were the thing, and my parents had some records in our TV stand under our TV, but I never really paid much attention to them, didn't really care. And then, when I was about 15, 16, I saw Almost Famous, and that really changed everything for me. I wanted to be William Miller, as I'm sure a lot of other kids around my age did, and that was just, that was it for me. So I went to a record store and I bought this. This is Shapes of Things by the Yardbirds. It's a 2 LP compilation, and I didn't know much about the Yardbirds, but I knew that they were classic rock. I knew they had Clapton and Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck, and I thought this would be a good place to start. So I got it when I was about 15, 16, and changed my life. It got me into this hobby, and yeah, so my first memory with vinyl was really being a kid and seeing it under the TV stand, and then seeing it in Almost Famous. But my first real vivid memory was going to the record store and buying this for way more than it was worth, but I didn't know because I was just a kid. So yeah, my first memory of vinyl was buying this about 10 years ago. The second question was, what album was the first you fell in love with? This was very difficult. I was gonna pick Graduation by Kanye West, but I talk about that in like every other video, so I'm not going to. I'll pick another one that was pretty monumental around the same time. 8th grade, 9th grade, this album came out, and my brother played it in his truck every single day. This was his favorite band around that time, and this is Attack and Release by the Black Keys. This is pretty much my idea of what a perfect album is, and it's just awesome blues rock. There's only one song that I'm not a big fan of, and that's Remember When, side A. All the other songs, so the 10 other songs, I am a giant fan of. I think this is the Black Keys' best album by a long shot. This is my favorite, and I remember playing this on CD all the time, and playing it on iTunes while I'd play RuneScape in like 8th grade. This was my jam. All You Ever Wanted, I Got Mine, Lies, Same Old Thing, So He Won't Break, Oceans and Streams, Things Ain't Like They Used to Be. It's just a perfect album, honestly. I would say like 9.5 out of 10. Love that album, and that is pretty much the first album that I played very religiously all the time. The third question was, what album did you spend the most money on? And he said that we could share the monetary amount if we wanted to. There's no competition with which album I spent the most money on. It was easily this, but for good reason. So this is the Yardbirds 68, a live set from 1968, but this is the signed deluxe box set. So if you open it up, you have Chris Treasure, Jim McCarty, and Jimmy Page. So I paid very handsomely for this. I'm not going to say what, but you can go to Jimmy Page's website and find out pretty easily. It was a lot, but to own something that that was in the hands of, Jimmy Page and the other surviving members of the Yardbirds was, I mean, this is just a dream come true. And there's the gatefold. So yeah, paid a small fortune for that, and I had some scary shipping mishaps with it, but I finally got it, and that is easily the most expensive album that I have ever owned and will probably ever own, or ever pay for at least. Number 4 is, what album has great significance to you? I have a lot of albums that have great significance, but this one probably takes the cake. This is another album that I would say is pretty much a 10 out of 10, and my idea is a perfect album. This is The Suburbs by Arcade Fire, and this album, I heard it when it first came out when I was in high school and fell in love with it. Listened to it all the time riding the bus, and heard it in skate videos and stuff, and I always wanted to go see Arcade Fire, but anytime they would come to Houston, I would unfortunately miss it. I'd be out of town, whatever, and they only come here every few years. So, in a skate video, let's see, 11 years ago now, they went to this festival called Roskilde, these skaters that I liked. And there was a skate park and big bands like the Rolling Stones and stuff played there. So I always wanted to go to this music festival, and in Denmark. So I finally, every year I'm looking at it, I can't quite work it in because it's an 8-day music festival. And then last year, 2017, I saw the lineup, and headlining were Arcade Fire. And I decided that I've been waiting for, by that point, 10 years to go to Roskilde Festival. I had been waiting for several years to see Arcade Fire live, and I was going to make this happen. So me and a few friends made the trip to Copenhagen and then to Roskilde, and we were at this music festival that was the craziest time of my life for 8 days. And on the final day, Arcade Fire played one of the best shows I've ever seen, and it was crazy. All of the freezing, like sleeping in the freezing cold, 40-degree weather in a tent, and we're underprepared because we were backpacking, and then it rained, so we had to buy all this rain gear. We didn't have air mattresses, we had to buy those. Just being completely underprepared and meeting all these really nice people from all around the world and everything, and then seeing this show on the final day with them was one of the best moments of my life. And anytime I hear this album, I think back to that Denmark trip and being at a music festival for over a week, and just what a great 8 days that was, and how I wish I could relive that again. So yeah, an album that means a lot, or has great significance, The Suburbs by Arcade Fire. And the 5th and final question is, what's your ultimate grail? Now, 2018 for me has been a very good year for my grails. I have found a dozen of them and checked them off my my bucket list, and it's been fantastic. But there are a few that have still eluded me. And I was going to go with the first pressing of Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness by the Smashing Pumpkins. And then I was going to go with Easter Everywhere, first pressing of that by the 13th Floor Elevators. And there were a few others that I was tossing up. But I'm going to have to go with a video game soundtrack, because I was looking at my Holy Grail list on Discogs, and this is by far the most expensive, and this is the one thing on my Grail list that I would probably listen to the most, and it is the Red Dead Redemption soundtrack. It was released just a regular, like, double album, I believe, on red vinyl, and it's selling for ridiculous amounts on Discogs, and or at least people are asking ridiculous amounts for it on Discogs, and I don't think that I will ever own it, unfortunately, but yeah, that would be my ultimate Grail, besides some people, like a record signed by Terry Kath or something. I think that the Red Dead Redemption soundtrack would have to top the list. He also had a bonus question, which was, why do you collect vinyl? And that is a difficult question to answer. There's just so many reasons. I think it's the best format to listen to. It's definitely the most fun. It's nice to have something tangible, and I hate to sound like a material girl, but if you buy like we were talking about the Suburbs, if you buy the iTunes album, then you have nothing to fall back on. You can't sell that. You can't do anything. It's nice to have it, and you also get to open it up, see the gatefold, look at the liner notes, read the lyrics the way they were written in the album, and do all that, which you can't really do on digital albums so much, or at least people don't do that much. And I don't really have a clear-cut answer for why I collect vinyl. I just love it. I don't know if there's a better way to put it than that. It's just really difficult to come up with a very clear-cut answer. The reason I have so many, which I know this is nothing compared to yours, but I'm somewhat of a completionist, so I'll try to collect anything that I like or love, and try to get most of that. So that's what a lot of this stuff behind me is, and I think one real main reason why I collect vinyl is that something about looking for an album for years and years and years and finally finding it, or finding out that it's coming out on some cool colorway or whatever, is just, it's an unparalleled feeling. I love it. I look forward to going record shopping and wondering what I'm gonna get, that kind of thrill of the chase, looking for an album for years, finally finding it. And sometimes you overpay for stuff, sometimes you get stuff for super cheap that you find out is really pricey, and all that, which I don't have any intention of selling any of these. This is just private collection, but it's cool to know that you've looked for something forever, for what seems like several years sometimes, and you finally go to your record store, and there it is on the wall or in the bin, and or sometimes you find something signed by an artist you like, and that feeling is just unparalleled. And I feel kind of sorry for people who just stream their music or just buy it on iTunes, because they don't have that same feeling. Maybe they don't want it, but I don't know how you couldn't want that feeling, because it's fantastic. So yeah, that's I don't know if that really answers the question, but that's why I collect vinyl. It's just because it's the best. So that was my entry, and hope y'all liked it. And go check out Dylan with Noble Records, Noble Records. And yeah, thanks for watching, and adios, VC.